Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Kapendra from Kirodimal College, University of Delhi. Today we will discuss about the module molecular aspect of development of conduction of nerve and its action potential. After studying this module, you shall be able to understand nerve impulse and its different components, understand how action potential is developed by a stimulus and its conduction, learn about graded potential and action potential, differentiate between continuous conduction and saltatory conduction. The nerve system is a communication and controlling network that allows an animal to interact in appropriate manner with its environment. A neuron forms the basic and functional unit of nervous system. At resting stage, the cytosol of the neuron is negatively charged with respect to its extracellular fluid. The action potential is a rapid phenomena which reverses the charge of neuronal axon at rest. The action potential is often called as spike, discharge or nerve impulse. Action potential can transmit throughout the length of a neuron or muscle fiber due to the presence of several voltage gated ion channels. When an action potential is formed, the neuron releases some chemicals called as neurotransmitters which allow one neuron to communicate with other neuron as well as glands or muscle fibers. A voltmeter is an instrument which is used to measure the electric potential difference by putting one microelectrode tip into intracellular space and another placed outside the cell. When neuronal membrane is at rest, the voltmeter reads a potential difference of about -70 millivolt. During the action potential, the membrane potential becomes positive. As this process occurs very fast, around 100 times faster than the blinking of an eye, a special type of voltmeter called an oscilloscope is used to analyze the action potential. Figure represents an action potential displayed by an oscilloscope. The graph in the figure 1 represents the membrane potential versus time in milliseconds. The action potential can be divided into different identifiable parts. The first part, that is rising phase, is distinguished by a rapid depolarization of the cell membrane. The change in the membrane potential continues until it reaches to a peak of about 40 milliwatt. The action potential at which inside of the neuron becomes more positive as compared to outside is termed as overshoot. The next phase is represented by a falling phase in which there is a rapid repolarization until the membrane is actually more negative than resting potential. The final part of the falling phase is undershoot or after hyperpolarization. Finally, there is a steady restoration of the resting potential. The time duration from starting to end of the action potential lasts about 2 milliseconds. The cytosol or extracellular fluid at another place in the cell has equal number of positive and negative charges which make them electrically neutral. Resting membrane potential exists due to buildup of small negative ions in the cytosol all along inside of the membrane, and an equal positive ion concentration is built up in the extracellular fluid along the outer surface of membrane. Such difference of positive and negative charge across the membrane is measured in watts or milliwatts. Higher differences in charge across the membrane represent high membrane potential. These electrical charges in the body of animals are carried by various ions. The primary ions responsible for generation of the resting potential include sodium, potassium and large negatively charged intracellular proteins. Other ions such as calcium, chloride, magnesium, bicarbonate and phosphate do not directly contribute to the resting potential of the plasma membrane in most cells, even though they are important for the body. Sodium ion is more concentrated outside the cell and potassium ion is more concentrated in the intracellular fluid. These differences in the concentration of ions are usually maintained by sodium potassium pump at the expense of energy in the form of ATP. As the plasma membrane is almost impermeable to large sized negatively charged molecules, these are found only inside the cell. In addition to active transport, sodium and potassium ions can also move passively across the membrane through specific protein channels. Usually, large number of potassium ion can get through the membrane than sodium ion because the membrane has more potassium channels for its passive transport than for passive transport of sodium ions. At resting membrane potential, the neural membrane is about 25 to 30 times more permeable to potassium ion than sodium ions. A typical value of resting potential is minus 70 millivolt, where minus sign indicates that inner side of the cell is more negative in relation to outside. A cell that has a membrane potential is called polarized. Most of the cells in our body are polarized and their membrane potential may vary between minus 5 millivolt to minus 100 millivolt in different types of cells. The resting membrane potential can be arises from the following major factors. First, effect of the movement of potassium ion and sodium ion on membrane potential. When the membrane is permeable to potassium ion, these positively charged ions readily pass through the membrane, carrying their positive charge with them. So, more positive charges would be on the outside. At the same time, dominant negatively charged anions such as phosphate attached to molecules such as ATP and amino acids in the protein would be left inside the cytosol. At the beginning, the concentration gradient is higher than the electrical gradient. So, there is a net movement of potassium ion outside the cell, and that result in the increase of membrane potential. As the movement of potassium ion continues, the opposing electrical gradient would also become stronger as the extracellular region of the cell become increasingly more positive and the inside more negative. As the strength of the electrical gradient reaches near to the concentration gradient, there is gradual decrease in the net outward movement of potassium ions. Finally, when these two forces reaches at equilibrium, no further net movement of potassium ion would take place. The potential that exists at this equilibrium is called equilibrium potential for potassium ions. The membrane potential at EK plus is about minus 90 millivolt, which represents that the magnitude of potential is 90 millivolt, with the inside being negative as compared to the outside. The equilibrium potential for a given ion having different concentrations across a membrane can be calculated by Nernst equation. Equilibrium potential is an essential measure of the membrane potential that exactly counterbalance the concentration gradient for the ions outside and inside the cell. The larger the concentration gradient for an ion, greater will be the ion's equilibrium potential. Similarly, the equilibrium potential for sodium ion can be calculated by using Nernst equation. Second, inability of most anions to leave the cell. It is another important factor which contributes to the negativity of resting membrane potential. The trapped anions such as chloride, phosphate and several proteins inside the cell are not able to follow potassium ion out of the cell because they are attached to non-diffusible molecules such as ATP and large proteins. Third is electrogenic nature of sodium potassium pump. The permeability of sodium towards inner side of the membrane is very slow due to presence of only few sodium ion channels. However, sodium ions slowly diffuse inward down their concentration gradient. If the diffusion of sodium ions left unchecked, it would eventually destroy the resting membrane potential. Therefore, inward movement of sodium ion and outward movement of potassium ions are offset by the sodium potassium pump. The sodium potassium pump transport 3 sodium ions outside the cell for every 2 potassium ion in the cytosol. The unequal transport of these sodium and potassium ion through sodium potassium pump separates the charges across the membrane, in which outside of the cell becomes relatively more positive and cytosol become relatively more negative. However, this active transport of sodium and potassium ions only separates enough charges to generate a negligible membrane potential of minus 1 millivolt to minus 3 millivolt out of total minus 70 millivolt resting membrane potential in a typical neuron. The major membrane potential occur due to the passive diffusion of sodium and potassium ions down the concentration gradient. Therefore, sodium potassium pump indirectly help in producing membrane potential through its contribution to maintain the concentration gradient, which is directly responsible for the ion movement that generates most of the potential. Graded potential and action potential. Temporary charge changes in the membrane potential from its resting potential generates electrical signal that are processed and transmitted by the nerve cell. These signals can be divided into two forms called as graded potential and action potential. The graded potential is important in transmitting the signal over shorter distances, whereas action potentials are transmitted to the longer distance by nerve and by muscle membranes. Graded potential. A graded potential can be defined as a small deviation from the membrane potential that are confined to a relatively smaller region of the plasma membrane and makes the membrane either more polarized or less polarized. When the membrane become more polarized, it is termed as hyperpolarizing grade potential, and when membrane becomes less polarized, it is termed a depolarizing graded potential. Action potentials are different from graded potential. The action potential may occur very fast that causes reversal of the membrane potential, and it may change from minus 70 millivolt to plus 30 millivolt, and again it repolarizes its original resting membrane potential. Action potential may occur at a rate of 1000 per second. In addition to nerve and muscle cells, there are several other types of cells such as some endocrine, reproductive cells and immune cells are able to produce action potential. These type of membranes considered as excitable membranes, and their ability to produce action potential is called excitability. And action potential develops in the membrane of a neuronal axon when depolarization achieves a particular level called as threshold level. Usually the threshold value of a typical neuron is about minus 55 millivolt. However, it may vary in different neurons for generation of an action potential. The action potential on a membrane will develop only when a particular stimulus is able to reach the threshold level, and it will not occur when it is below or near the threshold level, a subthreshold level stimulus. In case when a stimulus is very strong and it can depolarize the cell membrane above threshold level, develop several action potential called supra-threshold stimulus. The amplitude of action potential that is caused by a supra-threshold stimulus has same amplitude as that caused by a threshold stimulus. Hence, the amplitude of an action potential does not depend on the intensity of the stimulus. However, if the stimulus strength is more than threshold level, it increases the action potential frequency till it reaches to a maximum that can be determined by the absolute refractory period. An action potential develops in response to a threshold stimulus, but it will not form a subthreshold stimulus. Therefore, action potential either develops completely or does not develop at all. This peculiar feature of an action potential is called as all or none principle. Depolarizing phase: as the stimulus is applied to the cell membrane, the process of depolarization starts. The movement of potassium ion still exceeds the entry of sodium ions. As the stimulus is continuously adding current to the inside of the cell, the process of depolarization increases further, which opens large number of voltage gated sodium ion channel to increase the influx of sodium ions. The flow of sodium ions inside the cell changes the membrane potential from minus 55 millivolt to plus 30 millivolt. As a result, inside of the membrane become more positive as compared to outside of the membrane. When sufficient amount of sodium ions enter inside the membrane, the depolarization reaches to the threshold level and causes the sudden opening of voltage gated sodium channels. Voltage gated sodium ion channels consist of two parts, an activated gate and an inactivation gate. When the cell membrane is at resting state, the inactivation gate of a voltage gated sodium channel is open and the activation gate is closed. As a result, sodium ions are not able to move through these channels into the cell. When these stimulus reaches to the threshold level, it activates voltage gated sodium channels, which causes opening of both the activation and inactivation gated channels and allow inflow of sodium ion. Repolarizing phase: shortly after opening of the activation gate of voltage gated sodium channels, the inactivation gated close. The sudden change in sodium permeability begins to repolarize the membrane and to bring membrane potential down from its peak. At this point, there is activation of another factor, that is potassium ion begin to contribute to the repolarization of the membrane. The potassium channel that open during an action potential are also voltage gated. In fact, their opening is triggered by voltage sensors that respond to the same depolarization that open the sodium channels, but the potassium channel opening is slightly delayed. As the opening of voltage gated potassium channel is slow, their opening occurs at the time when voltage gated sodium channels are closing. This mechanism of delayed opening of voltage gated potassium channel and closing of previously opened voltage gated sodium channel generate the repolarizing phase. Inactivation or closing of sodium channels decreases the inflow of sodium ion. At the same time, opening of potassium channel accelerates the process of outflow of potassium. As a result, there is change of membrane potential from plus 30 millivolt to minus 70 millivolt. After hyperpolarizing phase, finally, the closure of the potassium channel is also delayed, and it occurs only when the membrane potential returns to its resting state. Potassium channel do not spontaneously inactivate like sodium channels, and they inactivate more slowly than the sodium channels. During the open phase of voltage gated potassium channels, large number of potassium ions are outflow strong enough to cause an after hyperpolarizing phase. At this phase, the membrane becomes more negative, about minus 90 millivolt, and potassium channels remained open. Their slow inactivation after membrane potential has returned to resting potential result in the period of after hyperpolarization that is brought to an end by closing of potassium channels that return the membrane potential to the resting potential state. Refractory period. Refractory period is the duration of time after beginning of an action potential during which the depolarized cell is not able to generate another new action potential when a normal threshold stimulus is given to the cell. This is known as refractory period. During the absolute refractory period, a second stimulus, does not matter how strong, will not produce a second action potential. This occurs when voltage gated sodium channels are open and or when the inactivation gate of the voltage gated sodium channel blocks the channel at the peak of the action potential. The inactivation gate that has closed these channels has to be removed before the channels can be reopening for the next stimulus. Following the absolute refractory period, there is an interval in which a second action potential can be produced when the strength of the stimulus is considerably larger than the normal stimulus. This is called as relative refractory period, and it can last from 1 to 15 millisecond or more and coincides roughly with the period of after hyperpolarization. At relative refractory period, some of the voltage gated sodium channels return to resting state and more number of potassium channels open. If a new depolarization is large enough to reach the threshold potential or outlast the relative refractory period, additional action potential will be fired. However, because of the after hyperpolarization, the magnitude of the depolarization needed to reach threshold potential is greater than normal. Propagation of action potential. The action potential generated due to a stimulus must travel from one part to another part of the body to communicate the information. The information is travelled in the form of depolarized membrane at each point along the way with respect to the adjacent resting state membrane. The difference between the resting potential and action potential causes ion to flow, which depolarizes the adjacent membrane. The reason for the generation of action potential rather than the graded potential occurs in the fact that there are large number of voltage gated sodium channels in the axonal membrane. Therefore, only small changes in the current flow will result in opening of many channels and result in the accomplishment of the threshold stimulus. The generation of new action potential produces its own local current which depolarize the adjacent region of the membrane and produces yet another action potential at the next site. This mode of conduction is called propagation. The action potential depends on the positive feedback cycle of sodium channel at the point of its occurring. Therefore, the action potential reaches at the membrane terminal is nearly identical to the initial one. Hence, action potential do not conducted decrementally as graded potential do. If the membrane of a cell in which the action potential is travelling is not refractory, then this excitable membrane can carry action potential in both direction, and the direction of propagation is determined by the location of the stimulus. For example, in the skeletal muscle, the action potential are initiated near the middle part of the cell and it propagates toward the both ends. In case of most of the nerve cells, action potential are generated at one end and it propagates toward the other end of the cell. The propagation of action potential ceases, it reaches to the end of an axon. Continuous and saltatory conduction. The velocity of propagation of an action potential along a membrane is depends upon the myelination of nerve fiber and its diameter. The propagation of action potential is faster on nerve fiber with larger diameter because it offers less resistance to local current that allows inflow of more ions in a given time, which brings faster threshold to the adjacent region of the membrane. The propagation of action potential can be divided into two types. Continuous conduction. This type of conduction involves by the steps depolarization of membrane followed by repolarization of the adjacent segment of the plasma membrane facilitated by the different voltage gated channels. The action potential propagation described so far in this module is called continuous conduction. It occurs in the unmyelinated axon of the neuron and also in muscle fibers. Saltatory conduction, it occurs along the myelinated axon of the nerve fiber. Myelin sheath acts as an insulator which prevents the flow of charges between intracellular and extracellular fluid compartments. There are only few voltage gated channels present on the axolemma that is covered by the myelin sheath. However, at the nodes of Renwier where myelin sheath is absent, axolemma bears large number of voltage gated sodium and potassium channels that carried current across the membrane at the nodes. Therefore, instead of moving on the whole membrane, action potential on myelinated fiber propagate through jumping from one node to another, and for this reason such type of conduction is called saltatory conduction. The propagation of action potential through saltatory conduction is much faster as compared to continuous conduction on the axon of the same diameter because only few charges are able to leak out through the myelinated sheath of the axon membrane. When an action potential is transmitted from a myelinated axon, there is flow of an electric current in the form of ions through the extracellular fluid of the myelin sheath and through the cytosol from one node to another node. When an action potential is generated at the first node, it causes generation of ionic current in cytosol and opening of voltage gated sodium ion channels at the second node by extracellular fluid which depolarizes the axon membrane to threshold level. The ionic flow generated at the first node through open voltage gated channels constitute an action potential at the second node. This process is repeated from second node to third node and so on. Each node after depolarization undergo into repolarization. The movement of ionic current at the node of Ranvier across the membrane has two consequences. As the action potential jumps from one node to another across the segment of the myelinated axonema, therefore, it travels faster as compared to the unmyelinated neuron of the same diameter. It is considered as highly energy efficient conduction because the voltage gated sodium and potassium channels open only at the node of Ranvier rather than the large number of channels in the adjacent segment of the axon membrane as in the case of continuous conduction. Therefore, less number of ATP is utilized by sodium potassium pump to maintain the membrane resting potential. Overall, saltatory conduction is metabolically more cost effective, adds efficiency in the speed, and it also maximize the space in the nervous system as the axon can be of thinner diameter. The velocity of nerve impulse conduction is affected by amount of myelination. Speed of propagation is more rapid along myelinated fiber. Axon diameter, larger diameter of axon propagates faster action potential, and temperature, speed of action potential is slow at lower temperature. So, students, now as we summarize what we have learned in this module. The nervous system is a communication and controlling network that allows an animal to interact in appropriate manner with its environment. A neuron at rest has negatively charged cytosol with respect to its extracellular fluid and reads a potential difference of about -70 millivolt. A special type of voltmeter called as oscilloscope is used to analyze the action potential. Resting membrane potential exists due to buildup of small negative ions in the cytosol and equal positive ions concentration in the extracellular fluid, and its value is about -70 millivolt. The equilibrium potential for a given ion with different concentration across a membrane can be calculated by Nernst equation. Electrical signal produced by temporary changes in the membrane potential can be divided into two forms: graded potential and action potential. A graded potential is a small deviation from the membrane potential that are confined to a relatively smaller region of the plasma membrane. The action potential may occur very fast that causes reversal of the membrane potential, and again it repolarizes to its original resting potential. Refractive period is the duration of time after beginning of an action potential during which the depolarized cell is not able to generate another new action potential when a normal threshold stimulus is given to the cell. The generation of new action potential produces its own local current, depolarizes the adjacent region of the membrane, and produces another action potential at the next site. This mode of conduction is called propagation. The propagation of action potential can be divided into continuous conduction, which involves step by step depolarization of the membrane followed by repolarization of adjacent segment, and saltatory conduction that occurs along the myelinated axon of the nerve fiber. The propagation of action potential through saltatory conduction is much faster as compared to continuous conduction. The velocity of nerve impulse conduction is affected by amount of myelination, axon diameter, and temperature. Thank you.